What's happening, guys? Welcome back to Airbnb ABCs. If you guys saw my previous video, you know that we have had the worst spring that we have ever had in the Smokies as far as revenue is concerned. We were actually, looking back on our calendars, pretty well booked as far as just being occupied. But our revenues are down, and the three cabins that we have are down 13, 31, and 43% respectively. And so those are very concerning numbers, especially those second two, and we need to be doing something about that. And when we look at why all of these are down, and this is what I'm seeing across the board with all short-term rental investors in pretty much all markets, is that revenue is down, and that is to be expected in what I think a lot of people are seeing as harder economic times, even though the top line numbers, the big macroeconomic numbers, are looking great, like the stock market and corporate profits and things like that. I don't think that folks here in everyday America are doing as well as the the elites and the big dogs are doing. But some things that are going around to explain all this is market saturation, especially in the Smokies. People are saying that there are far more cabins being built and coming online than there were in the past. I don't know if there's any truth to that because, again, like I said in many other videos, there's a lot of instances where they're pulling this from AirDNA, and there were cabins that were only listed on VRBO or only with private management companies that are now coming on that platform. There was fires where we've lost thousands of homes, and construction down there just isn't terribly rapid. I don't know about that. There was people saying, well, it was the early Easter this year, and Easter did come about 2 or 3 weeks earlier than it does typically, and again, maybe not. In my opinion, I think it is this one. I think it is that people simply do not have money. They don't have money to go traveling. They don't have money hardly to pay for their gas, groceries, rent, mortgage, medical costs, anything that they may, typically pay for. And we have to keep in mind that this is the Smokies market. This is Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. It's not Jackson Hole. It's not Vail. It's not Hawaii or destinations like that. Our demographic is predominantly middle-class Americans, and they have been getting absolutely crushed by inflation, by those rising prices, by interest rates, by rent, and wages that are just stagnant. I think everyone knows this out there, and everyone who lives in the real world knows that inflation is up, wages are stagnant, stagflation type of thing going on, in my opinion. But, the big talking heads out there aren't saying that. They're saying everything is fine. But when you're on the ground here running these things and you are living in this environment, I think it's kind of easy to see that. And you have to, give me a little leeway here. I think I'm starting with a cold and getting all snot-headed and whatever. But what we are going to do is, instead of whining about it, saying how much our bookings are down, how much our revenue is down, and just get on the internet and complain, we are going to have to take charge, because if you don't adapt in any type of business in life, you are going to end up dying. And so we are making changes in order to boost our occupancy and boost our revenue. And if you guys are digging this so far, hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button down below, because we're going to get into all the things that I'm doing to my listings to, boost that top line number so that our bottom line number also goes up. The first thing that we're doing, and this is across the board with all of our cabins to various degrees, is that we are cutting prices. And this is two things. For one, it's obvious. There is only a couple things in the world that the people say that XYZ sells. One of them is one thing. The other is price. And this is, pretty easy to do. I just go in, I click a couple buttons, the prices come down, and we're doing this less for our two more popular, more objectively attractive cabins, the ones with the views that people really want. And so our most popular cabins are getting less of a price cut, and we're doing more price cuts for our less popular cabin that is objectively less attractive. It doesn't have a view, but it's still a really nice place. It's just probably not going to be the very first place that gets rented versus the second place. And, for you, those of you out there like, well, we can't cut prices, I get that. And this is a luxury that we have because the places that we own have relatively low overhead. Our mortgages are relatively low. They're in the $2,200 to $2,400 range for two of them, and then $3,600 for the most expensive one. But just right out of the gate, we are adjusting our prices in order to try to attract bookings, attract people that have maybe a couple dollars left in their pocket, and get our places booked so that not only we make money, but also our housekeepers and our maintenance people and all that, they can also feed their families as well. Now moving on to what we're doing to our individual cabins, the first one we'll start with is that one that's down 13%. This is the one we call Moonlight Ridge. We're really not doing a ton to this one. We're not reducing our prices terribly much because this place books a ridiculous amount all the time. It always surprises me how much people want it, but it's a really cool place. It's in a really cool neighborhood. It has mountain views. It has 2 fireplaces, one inside and one outside. They're wood burning, and people just go bonkers over that. And so everyone that's switching from wood burning to like an electric fireplace or a gas fireplace, I have to say, it's been an amenity that has drawn in a lot of folks, and a lot of people are worried about fires in general. Cooking on the stove and careless smoking are the 2 biggest causes of fires, and all of the fires that have started in the national park and such, none of those were caused by cabins. They weren't caused by campfires or anything. The one was caused by kids playing with matches. Then the other large one, the Hatcher Mountain fire, was caused by power lines downed in the wind. So I'm kind of tired of hearing that my fireplace is going to set the entire woods on fire. We are making sure that everything is perfect, and this is something that you need to do in all of your cabins. You need to make sure everything works. Everything is in good working order. It's attractive in that, everything is just perfect for when your guests arrive and it matches the photographs. You're not overselling the photographs versus what the place really is. Now, we are possibly looking at new pictures in the future because you can never rest on your laurels in really any type of business. You have to be ahead of the curve. And so we are looking to get these premium twilight pictures that I'm going to speak about for our next cabin, and for a third cabin that actually really helped us out already, just to keep the premium bookings going, to keep that, keep that income rolling, which makes me move on to our cabin that's down 31%. This place is getting major changes. For one, we are just bringing the prices down drastically. We had summer priced out pretty high. We brought them down significantly. I mean, to what we would probably normally price our Mays and Septembers at, and those are probably lowest months. But the summer was tough to book for this cabin. We're still working on June as of June 2nd. To try to get that summer booked, and we'll get something. We will definitely make money on this just based on what we have, but it's been more challenging than in previous years. We are getting new pictures taken. We are getting premium twilight pictures taken, actual twilight, not virtual twilight that some photographers like to use out there. These ones will be done by a professional. They cost a bit of money, but they end up looking very good, and you're going to see what those look like when we talk about our third cabin that we've already had those done to. Those on our third cabin tremendously changed everything as far as the way that the things were booking, and so we are definitely going to be implementing those in this cabin, and I'm very excited to get those and show you guys the changes between the two, and you'll be able to see that a little bit in the third cabin that we're going to talk about here in a bit. The third thing that we're doing on this 31% down cabin is that we have made this a dog-friendly rental. This is something that we've kind of shied away from because we've really been kind of skittish about having pets there, pet smells, hair, pet waste in the yard and inside and just in general. But I have talked to a few folks, and most of those people say that if people are bringing their pets and they're announcing it and they're paying that pet fee, that those folks are usually very good, and they cause very few problems, and they actually cause a lot less problems and damage than actual children and adult guests who get out of control cause. And what really kind of sold me on this was that when I went into Airbnb and VRBO and I searched a very large area encompassing Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, in the greater Sevierville area, mostly on the right side of the map, if you guys are familiar with that. And when I toggled on pet friendly and not pet friendly, there's only about 20% of the listings that were, not pet friendly that ended up being pet friendly. That doesn't really make any sense the way I said that, but about 20% of the listings on that map area were pet friendly. So if people are looking to bring their pets and they're looking to travel with them and they don't want to board them because boarding is expensive, and there can be $50, $75, $100 a day to board an animal, and we only charge you $100 as an additional fee in order to bring that pet because we have to clean and such. That makes a very easy thing to do. If you want to bring your pet and you want to pay less, it's pretty much a no-brainer. And pretty much as soon as we made that change, we started getting bookings immediately for people bringing their pets, and they were upfront with it. They disclosed it. They paid the pet fee. And so far, before anyone stayed, it's been a really good thing. We added a large crate, 2 dog bowls, one for food and one for water, and a dog mat. That's all we really did, other than add the pet fee to it for our cleaners so that they can, make some more money and get some pet fees out of that. But we will see how that goes long term, and I'll definitely be doing a follow-up on that. Now, our third cabin that is 43% down, I've really struggled with this one all year because it's a really great place. It has just spectacular views. It just wasn't doing what we were wanting it to do for the spring. And I don't think that my expectations were out of line. I wasn't expecting to become a millionaire in the spring just on this one, but for this one, we're also not reducing prices much, mainly because I know that this is a relatively newer listing. These other two, they have 90 to 110 reviews on VRBO. They have several reviews on Airbnb. I think the one has 50, the other one has 80. They just kind of fell in and out of popularity with the two platforms. And so this one only has like 25 on each. And so we know it's a new listing-ish. And so it's just gonna, take some more time before we are, up there in the rankings with all that. So we didn't reduce the price as much, and because this typically books very well in the summer, but we were having like a no booking summer up until maybe the early part of May. And so I was kind of getting freaked out a little bit there. We did make sure that everything's perfect in this place. We redid the grill area. It was kind of just pushed off in the yard, just weeds growing up and such. And not weeds, but it's just off in the yard. Redid this whole thing with nice crushed marble and some landscape timbers. Put the grill far enough away that it meets the new fire codes that are being enforced, or just the fire code being enforced. That none of it's really new. They're just finally enforcing it after, God knows how many decades. But the biggest thing that we did with this place was we put new photographs. We got a different photographer than the first one. I was not really crazy about the photos, and I thought they were probably holding us back. They looked kind of just dark and very yellow in the entire photo set. It's been something I've been wanting to do to get new photos taken. We had these legit twilight pictures taken, and I'll put a few here on the screen to show you guys the way that you guys can showcase your place, especially if you have some ambient lighting outside, like the string lights. Like, people go flipping nuts over the string lights. And I've even talked to some folks and they're like, yeah, if I see a restaurant with string lights, they're like, I have to eat there. This is like candle moth syndrome for people. They love the string lights. So if you don't have any, put some string lights on your deck and then get some twilight pictures taken of it, because not the second, but like 1 to 2 weeks after we had those put on there, our calendar's like boom, 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 booked out from June basically through August, with some just a couple little spots here and there that we are going to have to fill in. So guys, that is what we are doing to compensate for the lack of bookings or the lack of revenue, or whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of people that jumped on to my original video and they said, yeah, good, I'm glad, I hope your Airbnbs fail. And I just don't understand that, to be honest with you, because you're going to go on vacation somewhere, and I am providing vacation rental housing for those folks, and it's not in an area where we are taking away from the residents. We're not putting this in a neighborhood. This is a place that has been short-term rental, vacation dominated, for as far as the eye can see, back to like the 30s. So that's what we're doing. If this helped you out, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe down below if you are new here. I appreciate you guys watching today, and I'll see you in the next one.